It's great to see everyone checking in from all across the country and across the world. Let's kick things off. Hello and welcome. I am Sean Devlin, editor at Reagan Communications. I'm thrilled to welcome all of you to Stop Juggling and Start Orchestrating, a new vision for internal comms in partnership with AppSpace. Before we get started with our program, some housekeeping notes. If you run into any technical issues, you can use the chat function at the bottom of your window for assistance. Additionally, please keep the Q&A function set aside to ask the speaker any questions. Again, the chat functions for tech issues, the Q&A functions to ask questions to speakers. There's going to be plenty of time for questions at the end. The number one most asked question during one of our webinars is, when will I get the webinar recording? The answer is yes, you will get it within 24 to 48 hours. You'll receive an email with the recording, slides, bonus materials, and a survey about today's session. Please take a moment to complete this survey, as your feedback greatly helps us in programming future events. So be on the lookout for that. So let's get started. The buzzword out there. There is a buzzword out there, and it's orchestrated workplace. It sounds fancy, maybe even a little bit made up. So what is it really, and what does it mean for comms teams who are trying to keep everyone in the know? Today, I'm joined by David Fleck of AppSpace to help decode the jargon and cut through the hype. He'll explore what orchestration could look like in practice, not more channels, but more innovative ways to guide them, with AI doing the heavy lifting. So your messages stop getting lost and your people stop asking, did I miss that memo? And now, happy to turn things over to our speaker.
Great. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Sean. Let me get going here. There we go. So yes, today we are going to talk a little bit about, you set it up so nicely. I'm almost done with my webinar. You've already covered all the high points, so everybody can get some time back now. No, but thanks again, everybody, for joining today. We're thrilled to be here to talk about this. It's an interesting concept of the idea of, we're going to stop juggling, and we'll talk about what that looks like, and we're going to start orchestrating and what that means. It's this new vision for internal comms, and we have, I think, a few hundred at this point, so it's clearly a hot topic. So we'll get started here. And yes, just to introduce myself a little bit further, I am David Fleck. I am our Senior Director of Product and Partner Marketing here at AppSpace, and I am a self-proclaimed technology geek. I love getting into it. I love tinkering with the different pieces of technology that I have both at work and at home. I've got a fully automated smart home that I love tinkering with. So it's just really fun for me to see how the new technology that is just continuing to come out and evolve, and how that helps us solve our problems both in the office and at work with our daily jobs, but also at home, and where those two meet is something I find really interesting and really fun. So one other fun fact about me, my current TV binge right now is Slow Horses. So if anybody is out there is watching Slow Horses, give that a shout and check that out if you haven't seen it. All right, let's go over what we're going to talk about today. Depending on how fast we talk, and how fast I get through it, I do tend to get a little bit excited, so I'll try and slow down a little bit. But we've got the full hour today. We'll go through a couple things. So first, I want to talk about the problem that we're all facing, this juggling act, and that is leading to kind of comms burnout and is leading to disengaged employees. Then I want to talk about this big shift, and what we're talking about today is moving from channel juggling to this concept that we call workplace orchestration. It's a buzzword, like you said, Sean, that people may have heard already kind of out there. We're going to really talk about what that is. What does that mean? Then we're going to go into a new playbook to a little bit talk about how you can actually do this and how you can actually use technology to your advantage. Talk about a little bit about the proof. I'm going to show a real world example and show you some of the ROI that you might be able to see by adopting a new strategy. And then at the end, I'll leave you with some of your steps that you should take. So a nice, quick and easy plan, step by step, to get started with this. All right, so let's first start with the question that I know every comms professional hates is, did I miss a memo somewhere? I'm sure all of you have heard that here or there, but if you work internal comms, it's like nails on a chalkboard when you hear this. You've sent the email, you've posted it on the intranet, you've put it in Teams, it's on digital signage in the office. and still someone comes to you and says, "Hey, where is that? Did I miss the memo? I didn't see that." And why? That's because today our communication is just scattered across dozens of disconnected tools. And it's leading to this missed memo challenge where we just, not everybody's in the know. And that's something that we need to fix. And the bulk of the problem here is what we're trying to do is balance this juggling act that we're all forced to perform as internal comms professionals. Yeah, you spend 80% of your time copying, pasting, reformatting, adjusting, creating images, finding images, all putting it all together. And really, in the end, only 20% of your time is actually focused on what matters, which is the message itself. And so things are manual, things are inefficient, and I'm sure it's exhausting. And so tell me if this sounds familiar. So yeah, this workflow. You create a message. You probably write it out maybe in a Word doc or something like that, where you get the first copy done and you've got the message created, and then you go and you have to reformat it maybe to put it into the intranet. Maybe it started there, maybe it didn't, but now you've got a new uh, formatting you have to do. You have to add a header image, whatever it is. Then take that, you shorten it up, and now that's your email. So you can send out the email to maybe include a link so that people can go to the intranet. And then you go and you shorten that even again, maybe for Teams or Slack or whatever enterprise messaging software you use, where it's just a little blurb. Hey, I posted something. Don't forget, check your email. It's there. And now it's in the internet too. Click through. Um, and then you have to pull out a headline, and maybe it's you, maybe it's somebody else that goes and creates a digital signage post for it. So you've got a nice card on a sign throughout the office that's got the headline, and you've had to create that, design it, and whatnot to draw attention to those that are in the office. And then you sit and wonder and go, well, did anybody actually see this? I mean, I can go look at my open rates and my click-throughs on my email, maybe, or, I know some people were in the office, perhaps, or, that there's a couple thumbs up emojis on the Teams, the Teams post, but did anybody actually even see this? So I'm sure this sounds somewhat vaguely familiar to a lot of you. And this is what employees are facing. Their reality is this, we call it the channel chaos. So, the digital workplace isn't just one place now, it's this constellation of tools that they're inside of and managing and using at all times of the day. And each channel is its own silo of information often. So information lives in SharePoint, and then conversations happen in Teams and Slack, and urgent alerts come from email. And then your corporate culture and all that lives in digital signage. And these tools don't always talk to each other. So as a comms team, you're here trying to bridge the gap manually, and your message is getting lost, and the experience is just not great for your employees. And we wonder why people at the time go, "Oh, I didn't see that. Where was it posted? How did I miss that?" Um, and that result is this broken employee experience. So the juggling act that you're doing doesn't just hurt you and your comms team. It's breaking the employee experience. So they're becoming confused. They don't know where to look. What's the source of truth? They're getting inconsistent messaging. And this problem is actually very severe for your deskless workers. That person that's on the factory floor, the retail staff, the drivers that are out, they're not logged into the intranet every day. They see digital signage, or maybe they see a mobile app. And maybe sometimes it's that game of telephone where this person tells that person, tells that person. And at the end, it's not the same message it was in the beginning. So they feel forgotten. So all of this is creating all of this tension, and it's making our employees confused. Or maybe they just see everything all at once and all the time, and now it's information overload. So it's causing this broken employee experience that we need to try and fix, which the part of it that we control as internal comms leaders. And so every year we do what we call the Workplace Experience Insights and Trends Report. It's a very long name. And I believe we'll put a link to it maybe in the chat for those that want to download it. So we go through and let's look at what the data tells us. And I just pulled a couple stats here. The data from research is pretty clear that employees are craving consistency. They're seeing this huge gap between what they desire and what we're delivering. So you can see that 80% of employees rank consistent communications as very or extremely important. Okay, so they want that consistent communications, but then only 69% say their organization actually delivers, or 69% say that they're delivering inconsistent messaging across different channels. So only 31% say they're doing it well. And so you can see this is where that missed memo challenge really shows. And so what are we going to do? What's the result of juggling all of this? Well, what's happening is we're kind of leading to this two company problem where you have your headquarters and then you have your frontline. So you've got your knowledge workers, your desk-based workers, they're living in their email, right? Their teams in Slack, they're in the intranet. They have the right licenses to log in to the right systems and information, but they're also getting overwhelmed because they're just seeing the same thing over and over again in a not a very curated way. And then the other side, you have your frontline workers, your deskless workers, and they're living on the factory floor and in the store and on the road, and they're underserved and disconnected. And as a comms team, the question we got to ask ourselves is, how do we reach both of them, but without doubling the work? Because none of us want to do that. None of us have time for that. We barely have time for everything we're doing now. So we can't double the work, but this is a problem that we have to solve. And we want to say goodbye to some of the old things. So the first thing we got to do is we got to say, okay, how are we going to do it? We're going to say goodbye to some of the old ways of doing things. So tell me if these are something that you've heard. Why, or something you've said, why is the digital sign still showing news from last month? Or we have to send this out in Spanish only, but we don't have time or we don't have the expertise to even get it translated. Or I have no idea if the frontline team even saw the new policy. They probably don't even know. And the last one's a little tongue in cheek, but it's real. The copy paste workflow is real. Have you ever said I had to replace my keyboard because that Control and V keys wore out? It might happen. And the information lag, the language barriers, the total lack of analytics to even know what's going on. This is what happens when our tools are defining our process. And it's time to say goodbye to that and flip the script. And what we propose is this big shift. We want to move from jugglers to conductors. All right. So what the heck does that mean? So what if instead of being a juggler and trying to keep 10 channels in the air all the time, you could, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to do the puns, but a conductor is, they're creating a single message and then they can orchestrate the entire ensemble of channels to play that message in harmony. So it's perfectly adapted to each one. Okay, I'm sorry. I got through the puns. We're done with it. That's enough for the rest of the webinar, I promise. But that type of being a conductor, that's what we call the workplace orchestration. All right, so that's a broad level, and I'm going to break this down into really exactly how you even do it with some actual UI from the product that could show you how you could do it with AppSpace. But the concept here is pretty simple. Orchestration is going to fix that broken experience that we saw for the employees. So it's a strategy and technology that connects the tools you already use. And I think that's what's really important here. I have to stress that. This is using a lot of the tools you already use, but connecting them in a way that's going to make your life a ton easier and improve the experience for your employees. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to use AI to automatically do that manual work. That's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for us. And so, yes, when we ask the question, you hear the leadership, how are you using AI? Where can we use AI? How do we add more AI? Well, this is one of the ways that is truly a way that you can actually do it. And then what that's going to do is that is going to help you focus on the message and the actual comm strategy and not juggling the channels and juggling the technology. And so what you'll be able to do is create your content, write your content anywhere you normally would, whether that's SharePoint, whether that's in Teams, whether that's in Google Drive and a doc or something like that, Workday, ServiceNow, I don't know, name them all. You could create your content there or content can live there. but then it's all going to get connected to a single hub and then published where it is. So it's create once and publish everywhere. Doesn't that sound nice? Nicely orchestrated? Well, what does that look like? All right, well, let's compare what would happen if we do this. So I'm just going to put them all up here and walk through them. The old way that we're looking at things here is the juggling way versus the new way of actually orchestrating it. So the old way, your processes, they're very manual, they're very repetitive, they're very slow. On the orchestration side of things, what we're going to be able to do is automate. It's going to be integrated, which is going to be so much faster. On the old way of juggling things, your content, what you're most likely doing, and what we talked about before, is you're creating new versions of the same thing for every different communications channel. And the orchestration, AI is taking that, doing that for you. So you're taking advantage of AI to be able to create it once, and then it gets published everywhere in the correct format too, which means your reach goes from inconsistent or missing the front line to unified and reaching 100% of your employees, no problem. Your focus turns from channel management and just managing, okay, is this posted? Did that get sent? Did everybody click on that? You go from that to your focus is now on the message itself and your overarching strategy. And in the end, you've gone from these disconnected silos where information lives, and you've ended up with a nice central hub that uses AI in a way that improves the experience for everybody on all sides. And this isn't some concept for the future. This is actually available today. And we'll talk about how we do it at AppSpace. But this workplace orchestration and the artificial intelligence tools and functions, they exist out there today. And so we call ours AppSpace Intelligence as far as the AI goes, but it is the engine that's kind of automating all the juggling. So think of it this way: you write one article, and then AI automatically generates the summary for a Teams post. It's automatically pulling that key stat for a digital sign. It's designing the digital signage content and posting it. It's translating it into Spanish and French and German. That's not a fantasy. This is real. And in the end, you can use your insights, the AI insights that you get, to understand how everything's performing across the entirety of the campaign or the entirety of your strategy, not just in these individual silos of reports and dashboards. So what happens is with this new model, kind of comes some new rules, right? Our communication can finally be unified, where we're kind of ending that two company problem. It can actually start to be personalized because the platform knows where employees are, it knows the right times of day, it knows the right tone, all of that information, how to deliver the message. And then in the end, it gets AI powered, which is freeing up so much of your time and getting out of that copy paste workflow and lets you focus on the strategy. That's what we're trying to get to. That's the big shift here. All right, so let's talk about what this looks like. And like I said, I'm going to break it down. That was the high level of what workplace orchestration is. And I'm going to try and break this down into some real world examples to make it ring true and make you help you understand what I'm talking about here. So this is kind of what it looks like in practice. It's really a simple 4-step loop that starts with writing and creating your content, creating the messaging, wherever you do that today, whatever makes sense for your company today, because nobody's going to it's impossible to force everybody to use one single tool to create all of your internal comms and all the messaging, all of that stuff. It's not going to be forced into one tool. So you're going to have to be living with SharePoint, and you're going to have WordPress or something like that. You're going to have ServiceNow. You're going to have all these different parts of the workflow that you just can't get rid of, and you can't force everybody into one tool. That's fine. Continue using those the way your company uses them. But what we're going to do is you're going to connect them into AppSpace for this example, connect them into one hub that integrates with all of those tools. And then through the rules that you've set up, and I'll show you how we do that in a second, you have publishing rules, you have automation rules, you have translation rules. Through those rules you've set up, that content gets published to the right channel at the right time, or information gets added, translated, etc., to the right channel at the right time. And so that's now how you've done this, where you've got this integration step in the middle. And then all of that flows back for the analytics. All right, so I'm going to show you just real world examples here of UI from AppSpace. I'm not going to do a demo or anything like that. You wouldn't want me to do a demo, but we're going to get into just show you a little bit what that looks like and how easy that can be to show you that this is a real thing. So again, we're not asking the teams to learn a whole nother tool and how to create information in that tool. If your team already loves writing in SharePoint, great. The first step is just connecting your content. So keep doing what you're doing, but pull in through a connector that automatically is going to pull in that article into the orchestration engine. And you can see it, you can name these different connectors different things, and you can tell it to pull in specific lists or specific information using tags and make it very smart. You add the permissions to make sure it's only pulling in the right thing, but now you've connected it and it's always watching and it's saying, okay, as soon as I see something over there, I'm going to pull that in there, right? So you're going to be pulling content from a lot of those different places, like you already said, or with AppSpace, you could also create it directly in AppSpace as well, because we do have content generation there as well. So if that's where you want to live, that's great too. So now you've got the content and your messaging connected, and it's getting pulled in based on the rules that you've set up. Okay, now the next part. This is the cool part. This is where the magic happens, if you will. So AI is what is going to enrich that information. So okay, let's take that SharePoint article example. The AI is it pulled it in. It's automatically going to translate it into the languages that you said that you set up. It's going to generate a 3-bullet summary or something like that, which is perfect for a mobile app. It's going to generate a cover image. You didn't even have to do that. You didn't have to go to marketing or your creative team to do that. It just generates the cover image for you that is relevant and looks great on digital signage. So all that juggling work is now done by AI, which takes seconds instead of minutes or hours, which is great. And you can see some of the examples here where you're pulling it in, you're telling it what language, you're telling the insights that you want to add. So it adds captions and tags so that all of your information is very organized and it's easy to find. And then it can even generate an audio version of that, which I'll show you in a second. So here's kind of an example, and I know it's a little bit hard to see on this screen. Maybe I should have made this a little bit bigger for you, but visualize kind of the one in the back is, hey, we posted a text-based message in SharePoint here. And then what happened is it met the criteria of your connector in AppSpace. It met the rules that you set up. So AppSpace pulled it in, and you can see it created that cover image that kind of made it a little bit more visually appealing. It created that summary down there. It's an AI generated summary. It created the tags, the language that you can see. They can choose between the different languages. And in the bottom right there, you can see it actually created an audio version of it. So for those that prefer to listen to their company news and information, maybe while they're doing something else, or maybe while they're on their morning run or having their morning coffee, they can do that too. And now you've got like a company podcast all of a sudden that people can listen to, and all done without, all you had to do is click a button one time and publish that, and now it's gone everywhere. And AI has done that in the enrichment step. Sorry, I forgot to click there, but I said it all anyway. All right, so now the step 3. Now for the easy part, it's getting published. So you don't actually have to do anything here because you've already set this up ahead of time. So you set up the publishing rules so that when AppSpace sees a SharePoint article that meets this criteria, we know that it's meant for this team or this group, this topic, this channel, whatever. You've already set that up ahead of time once, and now AppSpace is distributing that message everywhere to the right channel. So that long form article hits the intranet, the summary hits Teams, the translated headline hits the digital sign in Mexico and the Paris office and is translated, and the mobile app pings your frontline workers. So you've now reached 100% of your workforce from the headquarters to frontline. And all you did was hit one click to publish that in SharePoint or something that you normally would have done anyway. And here's a slight example of what that could look like. You can see here where you've got the same piece of content, that same article shown in different ways, right? So for the employee, they're on the intranet and they log in, they see the article in full detail, all the information that we talked about. The frontline worker sees the headline on a digital sign, and then the salesperson in Teams gets the summary. So it's that same message delivered in a way that respects the employee's context. So it's consistent. You can see how it's unified, and it's not noise. It's just a memo that they can't miss anymore. And then lastly, the last step four here is the measurement. You got to measure what matters here. And right now, I know it's a lot of times it's very difficult. So this is the real game changer. Right now, your analytics are siloed into specific channels, right? So you have your intranet views, every email opens, maybe something for digital signage sometimes. But when you have everything unified and orchestrated, you get one dashboard that now shows you the total engagement for your campaign across every channel. And so you can finally answer the question, did anybody even read that? Did our message land? Not only that, but you can prove to your leaders that yes, we have value. What we're doing has value, and we're making a difference with company culture and internal communications. We're making a difference, and we can show you just exactly what that difference is. So we want to say stop guessing and start really knowing with this orchestrated dashboard. All right. So what are the results of this? What do we expect to see? What's the ROI? What's the improved experience? What should we and what are the results, David? That's what we're going to see. I get it. But you've told me I'm now a conductor and not a juggler, but uh, what am I expected to see from this? And so real world examples, and we asked our own internal comms professionals and others, and this is kind of generalized, is the old way includes a lot of manual labor, all that juggling. So there's 3 hours spent writing all of the information, getting the correct approvals done, just generating all the content. Then it's another 5 hours just to do the copying, the pasting, the reformatting, the translating, the publishing, and then chasing down all the metrics and all the individual silos, putting them together, doing the analyzing, and maybe trying to understand, did it land? That's an 8 hour process to do all of that. The new way, when everything is orchestrated and we let AI do a lot of the heavy lifting for us, and we've automated everything, cuts it from 8 hours to 3 hours to do all of that. So you do the same writing, right? And maybe you're using AI to help you generate it. And maybe that's saving you a little bit of time. But the real bulk of the time is when AI handles all of the enrichment part of it, the translation part of it, and then the publishing part of it, where all you did was create it and hit the one publish button. And it knows, because of all the rules and the strategy that you set up ahead of time, it knows where to publish that for you. And you don't have to do any of that anymore. So you cut your time down dramatically. And again, the experience for the employees is better. And so again, this isn't just like a theoretical thing. That's actually from some of our internal comms professionals that we talked to, including our own internal comms director. But here's an example. We have a real world success story here. We have a global manufacturing company. They had the exact same problem that we're talking about here. Their comms lived in SharePoint mainly, but a lot of their employees were frontline workers that were out on the factory floor. And one thing about that is, and this is true for a lot of frontline workers, they don't have the same licenses for, say, Microsoft 365 to be able to get in and access a lot of that information. So a lot of times that's why you're having to copy and paste, is because you say, okay, it's posted there, but now I've got to go post it again somewhere else outside of SharePoint so that these non-licensed employees can see it. Well, using the orchestration model, they actually were able to post into SharePoint, and then AppSpace automatically pushed those updates to digital signs in their global factories and translated them along the way. And they ended up closing that two-company gap. And the way we did that is because of the permission levels that you set. Not everything that was published in SharePoint needs to be seen by the frontline workers or those that don't have the licenses. They probably don't have a license for a reason. They don't need to be in there, but there is things that you post into SharePoint for this example that they needed them to see, and we were able to pull that out, like we said, reformat it, and then deliver it to those that don't have a license based on permission levels and based on the rules. And so now we've dramatically changed what we've had to do, but we're closing that two company gap like we talked about before. All right, so now you're probably asking, this sounds great. Hopefully you're saying this sounds great. You're asking, how do we get started? So, you can start now. It's not a rip and replace thing. First thing I would say is take the first step is audit your channel. So where are your employees? Where are they getting their information? Is it in Teams? Is it on signage? Is it in email? And then try and find the gaps, like we said before. Where are these communication gaps that are creating a two company problem? And then identify what's your main source of truth. Where does your content typically start, or where do you want it to start? And again, that could be in a lot of different places. It can be in multiple places. That's fine. Maybe you'll find some that are duplicative and you don't need the redundant technology. Great. Maybe you'll find some savings there. And the next thing is define what are your content pillars. So like, what are just these big themes that you have to have and you can kind of strategize around. So safety, culture, policy updates, whatever it is for your company. Maybe it's sales updates, whatever. What are these content pillars that we can help design and orchestrate around? And then the last thing here is pilot the flow out there, the orchestration flow. So connect one or two sources of content to a couple of your publication channels and try it out and see the results, measure them, and then expand it out. So I think that's a simple 5-step process to get started. And your goal here is to stop juggling. Your goal is to start orchestrating and reach everybody all the time and get rid of that question of, did I miss a memo somewhere? We can get rid of that for good. And that's kind of our new vision for internal comms. So like we said about before, we're going to see massive time savings for you. You can cut your publishing and reformatting by 80%. You're going to increase your message reach and know that you're reaching 100% of your employees. You're going to create that single source of truth, eliminating the confusion, and you're going to get those provable data-driven impact so you can finally see how your efforts are leading to actual business incomes. So when we started, a couple things, key takeaways here. We've got the practical playbook for how you can do that. We've got a new way of thinking, orchestrating instead of juggling. We've got some metrics we're going to look at to make sure we understand what our impact is. And we've got a new way of understanding our AI is our assistant. It's there to help us, not replace us. And it's actually the key to doing a lot of this at scale. So we hope that orchestration, I hope this is a helpful thought for you. We do have a guide here that you can download if you scan the QR code that can go in a little bit more about what I talked about today. But thank you very much for joining. I think maybe we have some questions, so I'll end there if we have some live Q&A.
Yeah, we do have a few questions here in the Q&A chat. Let's start with one from an anonymous attendee. It says, is it creating an original image or is it pulling an existing image from somewhere off the internet? Will the images be tagged that they are AI generated for transparency?
Yeah, so it will. So the way ours works, it will generate a new image itself. You have total control over that as well. So you can tell it to regenerate. You can go in there and you can edit before publishing if you want. There's an approval process for that. There are some marks in a couple different places that AI was used. So we have some of those like sparkle animations and our icons in there to show where AI is being used. I don't think it's right on the image itself. I don't think we do that currently, but that's definitely something we could look into doing in the future if that's needed.
Excellent. Another question from an anonymous attendee. What is the lag time between posting an article and the app space orchestration, creating and sending out the corresponding communications?
It could be done in as quick as seconds. Some of that can depend a little bit on the permissions and the way you've set up the connectors, but it can be done as quick as seconds, or you can put approval steps in there to make sure, and that would obviously slow it down if you want to do that. But otherwise, this just runs and can be pretty immediate um, based on the technology that you have, but it's seconds.
Great. Another one from another anonymous attendee. How do we help frontline workers who are talking to customers on the phone? They're not always in an office, but at home, and have tons of windows up on their screens to get the information they need to help customers.
Okay. So tell me again, can you see that again? They said they're on the phone, they've got a lot of different screens.
Yeah, it's saying how do we help frontline workers who are, I'm interpreting this as simultaneously on the phone while they're working through this stuff. And it
Yeah.
says they have a lot of windows up.
Yeah, and that's something to understand. I think first of all, I would ask them what's the easiest place for them? Where would they like to get their information? I'm a big fan of doing internal surveys and asking your audience. Again, I'm a marketer at heart, but asking your audience where do they prefer to get their information and how. And then one of the things you can do with AppSpace specifically, and I'm sure there's others that do this as well, but um, we have the dashboard to understand when people are reading the messages that you're sending in which channel. So you can see that, okay, it performs better if I send it on Tuesdays at 8 a.m. Via email. That performs better than another option. So that way you can really make sure that you're strategizing how to reach that audience because that's typically when they're more available and ready to read your message that you need to reach them with.
And a similar question, what is your advice for reaching frontline workers without laptops and with limited communications? And an example here, I work in pharma. They cannot
Yeah.
have phones in the labs. We have an app and they have three desktops that check email maybe once a month. How do you get information to them?
Yeah. If there's any type of digital signage that you can do within that lab or something like that, that's maybe internally focused in a break room or something like that. I don't know the exact setup. That can be a nice way to do it where you've got a lot of that there. That digital signage can include a QR code. We automatically generate a QR code, or you can turn that on in a setting to automatically generate the QR code that they can scan with their phone when they have the time. That will then take them to wherever that content originated and read it in long form. And again, the other thing I would say is you understand that that's a specific audience you're trying to reach. And by working and trying out new channels, trying out new strategies, sorry, I couldn't think of that word for whatever reason, you'll end up getting a lot of analytics to understand what is working and when, and then you can optimize. So there's no one magic bullet I can tell you now. I think it's just try out some different channels. Again, digital signage might be the way for you that might work well, or it might just be something where you have to ping them in their app, at 5 o'clock after they're done, or 4 o'clock before they leave, or something.
Great. And one other question here from the group from Abigail Stark. What kind of metrics are available?
Yeah, sorry, you cut out there. The metrics that are available, is that what you said?
Yes, yes. What kind of metrics are available is the
Yeah, yeah.
question in the chat.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got a couple different depending on the channels that you're looking at. You got all the normal stuff that you're looking for as far as like delivery. But like we said before, you're also looking for time of day interaction, so like social interaction and engagement, sentiment. You can start to understand sentiment through social interaction and also just kind of understanding comments and questions and engagements on an article or something like that. So you're going to get a lot of that for digital signage. You're going to get some of that proof of play to understand where it played and when. So you're going to see all of those in the dashboard and kind of in one unified dashboard, like I was saying before, from all the different channels combined.
Great. And I'll ask a couple of questions of you here to keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
Does the AI translation actually sound natural? Perhaps some companies have had bad experiences with AI sounding too robotic for your company voice. How do you solve for
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, some of them in the beginning, I honestly were bad, and not necessarily ours, but we've all heard them. So there's two things. And when you say sound natural, there's one as far as like the voice itself for the audio version. And I've been super surprised. I've actually listened to ours. We've updated it and it's continuing to update with new voices, and those just continue to get better. So I like the way it sounds. I've listened in the morning to company news, and it works really well. The other one is sounding natural as far as like the tone for the company voice, as far as like actually reading it and the tone of voice that they're using, not necessarily audio. And that is something that we have settings in the back end where you can actually go set your tone. And there's a lot of like kind of what global prompts or global settings that you can say you want your AI to write like this. Here's our brand voice. Here's the information we want to say. Here's the things to avoid. You can actually program that into app space so that your AI is always writing as close to what you would like them to write as possible.
Great. And one other question for you here. So we let HR and IT post their own content. Is this system easy enough for them to use without breaking our comms templates?
Yeah, yeah. Yes. Anybody and it's all permission level, and you can set that up. So a lot of that will be done in the actual setup process when you create the connector, and then you put in the rules. And I didn't show all of it in all the different parts in there, but there are some pretty extensive rules that you can put in. You can put in different ways that you want it to be formatted, and templates that you could use for digital signage or something like that. But then also say, I only want it to pull in when it's this word, or it's published to this channel or this list. So that's the way to do that, to make sure that, hey, everybody keep posting what you want to post, but then it's getting published and translated and enriched in a way that you've already set up from the beginning.
This has been great. And that does bring our time together today to a close. As a reminder to our audience, you'll receive a survey within 24 to 48 hours. Once you respond, you will gain access to the slides and bonus materials from today's session. So be sure to take that survey. On behalf of Reagan Communications and AppSpace, thank you so much for attending today's session and have a great rest of your day. See you, everyone.